All right, Russia's first deputy prime minister was in Washington today for meetings with Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, U.S. Trade Rep Ron Kirk, and White House Economic Advisor Larry Summers. Igor Shuvalov was meeting with them ahead of this week's G-20 meeting in Pittsburgh, and Bloomberg's Hans Nichols caught up with Shuvalov for an interview, an exclusive interview. Hans, how was it?
It was great, Matt. Shuvalov, you have to remember, was a Sherpa for then-President Putin, now Prime Minister, so he really knows the ropes and what happens at G20, what all this summitry goes on, and what sort of summitese, this strange language that they tend to speak at these G20 gatherings. Now, I started off by asking him what the president needs to do to make this summit a success.
We need to hear each other and just not to be separated by national positions. And I'm sure that when leaders meet and they can talk, they can hear each other, and they will conclude, maybe they will be reaching real compromises in order to understand how we'll, develop our world after the crisis. We will talk about exit policies and about national plans, how to provide fiscal stimuluses for different industries, or maybe how to open the economies, because at the moment we are observing that many countries are, they're closing their markets for import, and now that's the time to be back to open markets. And I think all that stuff would be very interesting for the leaders.
So should G20 countries dial back assistance together now that the economy appears to be pulling out of recession?
Yes. Now, I think the worst time is behind, and now we are thinking about, time when we can develop a new model of the global economy. And then, that's impossible to do basing only on the national interests. Only altogether G20 can envisage something.
Now, on the IMF quotas, that will be a topic of discussion as well. What range are you comfortable with living with in the new quotas?
I would leave that for the finance ministers meeting, and they will talk about this. We have our precise position. It's, we agreed in Russia that there should be decision on that issue, maybe this summit, during this summit, or later, but in the nearest future. And we think that it cannot be at least less than 5%. But anyway, it's the topic for the finance ministers and for the leaders. This is a very important topic, a very important issue, and we need to find a proper solution for this.
Now, President Obama, before he heads to that G20 summit in Pittsburgh, he just arrived in New York tonight for, of course, the United Nations General Assembly. So lots of summitry on the president's agenda. Matt and Carol?
The president's agenda, I'm sure, a very busy, very full agenda, but can you give us a few other the key points on his schedule?
Sure. Meetings, lots of meetings tomorrow. He starts off where he has separate meetings with both Prime Minister Abbas from the Palestinian Authority and then Mr. Netanyahu from Israel. And then he'll bring them together for what's called a trilateral meeting. Again, this is all summitese here. There will also be a separate meeting with President Hu Jintao of China. That's so important because trade will very much be on the agenda. We expect that the tire issue and the slapping of the tariffs will come up, and that's one thing they'll need to discuss. But before all that, the president did manage to get some fun in. He's taping the David Letterman show. He'll play later on tonight and give you a couple things from the top 10 list, but one of them was, the reasons why he did it was that in this economy, someone offers you $600, you take it. That's the president of Dave Letterman. Matt, Carol?
Can't blame him.
All right, Hans, thanks very much.